Everybody, welcome to the show today, guys. We got some breaking news for you. Trump, the judges, the Supreme Court judges, the federal district judges, Elon Musk are about to have a showdown, and it's about dang time. We are going to see who is really running this country right now. And Trump said, why do we always know how the four liberals are going to rule, but have to think about which side the Republican judges will go? So right now, there is a big, huge weight over who's going to vote where on all these new appeals that are going to the Supreme Court. Basically think about it like this. If it takes a majority of the Supreme Court to rule on a case, why can a single solitary district court judge from anywhere in the United States, over 600 of them, remember there's over 600 of them, overrule the president, and then with nearly 80 million voters who voted him in as president, him not be able to execute his agenda? The Democrats really think that these single federal court judges are going to rule for the next 4 years. And this is where the power of the Supreme Court is going to come into hand, but it's also got to come into hand to settle the issue. Does Trump have the power in the executive branch or not? Is he going to be able to protect the United States and deport gang members or not? All these questions are being asked now because let me tell you this. A report by the Media Research Center just came out and found that 90 federal agencies and components were involved in 57 distinct Biden-era censorship initiatives through direct actions, policies, rulemakings, partnerships, and grants. So no matter what, things have been happening behind the scenes. People have been censored. There was action taken against the American people done by federal agencies. And where were the district judges at? Where was the Supreme Court at whenever the administration was literally censoring people? So now we're going to battle. We're going to see what's going to happen between the federal judges and between the Supreme Court and between Trump and his administration. But do got really good news for you, everybody. Trump has officially had his phone call with Zelensky over the Ukraine-Russia war. We have now seen that Trump spoke with Putin, had a great call. Now he's spoken with Zelensky and said he's completed a very good telephone call with President Zelensky. We are very much on track to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their request and needs towards peace. Promises made, promises kept. Trump is making things happen, and he is 100% putting the world into a better place of no wars. I mean, this is amazing. And yet, we have the left-wing media who is literally fighting against Trump on everything he's doing, even this peace deal. It makes no sense. It's not common sense. But, guys, as crazy as this is breaking news that Texas Senate passed a bill allowing prayer in school. A lot of things are changing, guys, and we're moving in the right direction. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching, all of our viewers, all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, join the family. Hit that subscribe button. I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. If you don't mind doing us a favor of hitting that thumbs up like button, guys, it really does help out our channel so much. I want to say thank you to all of our members of the channel. Guys, those in green in the chat, y'all are the best. We appreciate your support. And if you want to be a member, the link is in the description. And guys, this money goes towards charity, but we really do appreciate your support with that and the super chats. And just want to say thank you for partnering with us. But I'm telling you this, guys, there's a lot of talk coming on with this third-term Trump presidency. And what you're about to hear next, things are moving in the right direction in a lot of aspects, but let me know your thoughts. Check this out.
You, if any, who can explain what motivates Donald John Trump more or better than Steve Bannon. You know him as the former White House chief strategist, but he is certainly one of the architects of MAGA as well. So the only thing that you're not going to like talking about, we'll talk about first. I'm watching CPAC, and they put up a poll of potential, next generation, right? Post-Trump. You are second on the list after the VP as people getting the nod at CPAC to be president. A lot of people were surprised by this. My first question, You have anything to do with putting your name in that list because you have presidential ambitions?
No. And President Trump, I'm a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump.
Y'all hear that, guys? Like, why would Steve Bannon, Trump's chief strategist from 2016 in his first term presidency, say he's a firm believer Trump's going to run again in 2028? Like, wow, what the heck?
Trump. A man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
And obviously, anybody who doesn't like what you say but judges it as a function of a lack of intelligence doesn't know anything about you. I don't make that mistake. You're a smart guy. You know he's term limited. How do you think he gets another term?
We're working on it. I think we'll have a couple of alternatives. Let's say that. We'll see. We'll see what the definition. We'll see what the definition of term limit is.
All right. Well, so you're talking about litigating this issue because I don't want people to listen to our interview and say Bannon's cooking up an insurrection. Bannon is cooking up. You know what I mean? I want people to get a straight take on where your head is. What are you suggesting?
Chris, as you know, I've had greater long shots than this. When we supported President Trump after the election, I realize you don't believe the election in 2020 was stolen. We do. We fervently believe that. When President Trump went back to Mar-a-Lago on January 20th, 2021, he was the longest of long shots to return to the White House. We said that day in our podcast and doubled down, having President Trump's back, that he was coming back not just to win the primary, he would win the White House, and we had to get organized and drive that victory and also start working on all the policies, what's called Project 2025 or the America First Policy Institute, but all those different think tanks that started putting in the policies that you're seeing today in what we call Flood the Zone or Days of Thunder or however you want to describe it. But this is many years in the making. So we've had greater long shots than Trump 2028, and we've got a lot of stuff we're working on there. We're not prepared to talk about it publicly, but in a couple of months, I think we will be.
But you are not suggesting revolution or overthrow or anything that people would condemn.
Chris, we just won one of the biggest sweeping victories. We're in the middle of a 1932 type realignment if we can continue on and continue to have populist policies, populist nationalist policies. We have African American men coming to our side. We have Hispanics coming to our side. So no, we're huge believers in democracy because we know how to get votes out. We know how to get low propensity, low information voters out to support the president's policies. The anti-democratic forces, I think you're seeing them today in the courts. I mean, they're trying to obstruct a sitting president of the United States from fulfilling his executive mandate. So no, we're the big believers in democracy, and we show it because we won this unbelievable come from behind, not just in 2016, as you know, but in 2024 when virtually everybody ruled Trump out.
There's no question about that. And in 2024, people did not see him making the kind of comeback that he did. And that is certainly a historical comeback, no question. But I just wanted to make it clear for people so that they can't paint you as, suggesting revolution. Your analogy is to 32 and how FDR extended it. The Constitution probably gets in the way. But
I firmly believe in the revolution you're seeing going on now, the revolution of common sense to deconstruct the administrative state. You're seeing that battle and that combat politically and legally in federal courts every second.
Guys, I don't think that there is probably anybody that I even know who knows the constitutional law as good as Steve Bannon. Whenever he says something, he knows what the heck he's talking about. And then you just got to figure out, where the direction they're going. But if he's saying Trump's going to be in a third term, you don't say those types of things for nothing, because this is pretty big.
Every day. And if your audience, I know they love you, but they ought to start paying attention to also this greater arc of this massive fight that's going on for the direction of this republic.
Listen, we talk about it here all the time. So help me understand this. If you are so simpatico with what's going on, how did you allow Elon Musk to become the right-hand man of President Trump and arguably cause him a lot of agita? in effectuating DOGE, which is something that should have like 100% acceptance by the American people. Who's against waste, fraud, and abuse? So how did that happen?
Who's against waste, fraud, and abuse is the administrative state and its rogue element, the deep state. Look, Elon, and he and I have huge, almost unbridgeable differences on so many things like transhumanism and technology and visas and immigration, all that. But he backed our play. He very early on in, I think, June and July of last year, backed this kind of grassroots effort to go get low propensity voters, low information voters. He put $250 million. It's never been done before. He also was kind of a supporter of this merger of the Bobby Kennedy Make America Healthy Again with MAGA that brought out all those red-pilled moms. And that was a huge effort. He's also, as you know, I'm one of the architects of the deconstruction administrative state. He came up with the DOGE, which are really shock troops into the system. It's a trauma-inducing effort into the administrative state, and all of it's not pretty, but I think it's been pretty effective to date. And I realized today in the courts he had a pretty big reversal, at least on the surface of it, a reversal. But the audience has to understand, we are running $2 trillion deficits. We basically spend $6.5 trillion. We take in about $4.5 trillion. That $2 trillion deficit goes to our debt. It has to be refinanced every year. This is what embedding inflation. We have to cut it. There's two ways you can cut it, either programmatically, which we're going to do through the appropriations process, or you go find waste, fraud, and abuse. It's never terribly pleasant, but his effort is making some progress. I hope it makes some progress, Chris. So what he said it's going to $1 trillion. I don't think we'll get there, but he's making an effort, and I think he's getting some real traction. Of course, like in Silicon Valley, they're breaking things all the time, and that's something that President Trump has given course correction. Now has the department heads very much more involved, the cabinet secretaries, and so I think it's headed in the right direction. Although, folks got to understand, you're going to have some speed bumps.
Guys, again, it's okay. Speed bumps are okay. I'd rather have progress with speed bumps than to have nothing and no progress and no speed bumps. But this is what Trump came out and said. If a president doesn't have the right to throw murderers and other criminals out of our country because a radical left lunatic judge wants to assume the role of president, then our country is in a very big trouble and destined to fail. Straight from Trump. Even Elon Musk came out and said this. And let me zoom in just a little bit for you. There you go. For more than 2 centuries, there's never such extreme abuse of the legal system by activists pretending to be judges. Impeach them. This is coming from Representative Andy Ogles, who said, Representative Mr. Chief Justice, both James Madison and Thomas Jefferson disagree with you. So does the Constitution. We are going to keep the impeachments coming. Guys, it's the Supreme Court. It's going to be the federal district court judges and Trump and Elon all going at it. And want to say, guys, appreciate you all so much. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, we really appreciate your support. This right here just tells us where things are going. It's not right now. It's not like it is the Trump versus the Democrats, but they're so far gone right now and they're so lost right now that now it's really becoming just Trump and Elon versus the judges, district judges, and now even Chief Justice Roberts. But where I've got more news to show you, but I want you to listen to this because everybody's seeing this and common sense is taking over. Check this out.
Kamala Harris is MIA. The $2 billion bandit vanished into thin air. A Democrat insider says she's a political Where's Waldo. But Doug is going around telling people she's the leader of the party. Democrats are saying, hell no. Quote, the person you just spent $2 billion on trying to elect, I'm glad she's having a good time going to a musical. This whole strategy of do not do anything or say anything, that's not the kind of leadership the world needs right now. No one's leading the Democrat Party, and they're heading directly into an iceberg.
If I was a Democrat, I wouldn't even speak for the party right now because the party is in shambles. The party is in disarray. The party has no leadership. The party has no messaging. We all have eyes and we all have ears, and we can see that they don't have any direction.
Just when you thought they'd hit rock bottom, Democrats sink even lower.
You think these numbers are low? How about this one? Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove. 68% And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling.
Democrats still have not recovered from Kamala's kamikaze.
It seems like they're in bigger trouble now than they were even after the election, because time has passed and the internal fissures, they are dramatic. I mean, to have Pelosi attacking Schumer is quite something.
We're seeing some major coup karma. All the people who took out Biden are dropping like flies. Pelosi's out of the picture, and now Schumer's getting a taste of his own medicine. He sparked a Democrat civil war after voting to keep the government's lights on. Now liberal groups want his head on a platter. Quote, Schumer's fate as a leader in the Democratic caucus is not in Schumer's hands. It's in the hands of fellow elected Democrats. It's in the hands of outside groups with constituencies. And most of all, it's in the hands of grassroots constituents. Schumer canceled his book tour because he was worried about mostly peaceful protests, not for MAGA extremists, but his own party. And Chuck's going on a media tour begging Democrats not to fire him.
But there are people in your own party that are saying, look, it's time for you to go. They no longer trust your leadership. They want somebody else in there. What do you say about that?
Here's what I say.
In your own party saying
Yes.
you've got to go.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm the best leader for the Senate.
Do you believe that the party has confidence in you to continue to serve as its leader? And as somebody who is influential in helping Biden's decision to step aside, do you think it might be time for you to?
No, I should be the leader. And let me just say this. One of the things I am known to be very good at is how to win Senate seats. In other words, I'm a strategist in terms of recruiting candidates, helping the candidates run campaigns and win it.
Democrats lost the House, Senate, and White House, and Schumer thinks he did a good job. Democrats are more unpopular than ever. This would never have happened under Pelosi's watch.
Confidence in Senator Schumer to lead the Democratic caucus in the Senate.
I do.
For you and Senator Schumer.
I do. I myself don't give away anything for nothing. And I think that's what happened the other day.
Wow. I guess they didn't like Schumer's negotiating strategy.
I am hopeful that our Republican colleagues will resume working with us. And I talked to them. One of the places I told them to go in the gym, you know, when you're on that bike in your shorts, panting away next to a Republican, a lot of the inhibitions come off.
If I saw Schumer in a pair of shorts hop on the bike next to me, I'm moving to the treadmill. No matter how much Schumer sweats on Republicans, he's not stopping the coup part 2.
That's your plan. I'm going to dangle my out of my shorts and maybe at the gym. You know, I'm not here to posture shame. But for a guy who seems to be spending most of his life in the gym, a little less talky talk, a little more core.
Newsom's kicking back on his podcast, watching his party fall apart. He sees an opportunity. He asked the guy who botched the last election, who's in charge?
Just let me ask you, as a party leader, there's this notion, people say, well, what's the party doing? Who is the party? And I'm asking you, I'm serious. Is the party the DNC? Is the party you and Harris? Is it Chuck and Hakeem?
It's the people. And then in a democracy, they send people forward to be able to do this. The party is not leadership. They want us to have a unified message. And here's where I really think they missed in D.C. on this. It does feel to me that despite those numbers, the Democratic Party is unified. They're unified in being pissed off at the Democratic Party.
Then Newsom lectured Tampon on how to win. Listen.
I think it's one of the reasons we're losing so many men. And again, it's multi-ethnic. It's not just white men. We're losing them. We're losing them to these guys online. We're losing them to people that I'm bringing on this podcast as well. That's why I brought...
These are bad guys, though. These are bad guys.
But they exist. And we could deny they exist. They exist now.
Guys, I guess I'm a bad guy. I didn't know that. But thanks for Tim Walz for telling me, because I'm sure going to listen to this guy.
They exist, they persist, and they're actually influencing young kids every single day.
How do we push some of those guys back under a rock?
I think we have to first understand what their motivations are. I think we have to understand what they're actually doing. And
you don't
I think that's
it's racism and misogyny?
I think there's a lot of that, but I don't think it's exclusively that.
Newsom's like, hey, stop calling voters racist and trying to understand him. And Walz is like, nah, they're racist. That's how you lose in a landslide. Kamala's watching this and thinking, I should have picked Shapiro. But Tim says he's a man's man, even if he uses a straw.
It just baffled me how much time they spent trying to attack me that I wasn't like masculine enough in their vision. Like I would have never believed this. I saw Fox News did like a couple days because I used a straw. And I'm like, hell, man, what am I? How else do you drink a milkshake type of thing? But they focused on it obsessively, which I think, again, is their obsession, their weirdness. I think I could kick most of their ass.
Sorry, guys.
I know I can run them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to, okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight.
Patrick Bet-David's the founder of Valuetainment. Do you ever drink a milkshake and drink it with a straw?
Jesse, I'm sitting here laughing. I'm sorry. I got to tell you, I've just been cracking up the entire time. But let me put it to you this way. You like sports. I like sports. The person that should get fired are two people. Number one, in sports, you get a draft pick. If the GM, whoever picked the draft pick, if they pick someone that doesn't work out, it's a bust, that person needs to get fired. So who picked Kamala Harris? If it's Obama, if it's Pelosi, if it's Schumer, that person needs to get fired. Then two, Kamala Harris needs to be fired. Why? Because she chose Waltz as a VP. Two people that need to get fired is whoever picked Kamala and whoever picked Waltz. Now, whoever picked Waltz, which is Kamala. This is my point here. See, the difference between the Republican Party, why they're winning, and the Democratic Party is the following. Republican Party is like regular families who they allow their sons or daughter to marry whoever they want to marry. Democrats believe in arranged marriage. That's what they believe in. They believe in what gets done in the Middle East. They believe in what gets done in a lot of different countries. They want to tell you, here's who you're supposed to marry, Democrats. Her name is Kamala Harris. And you go on a date, 15 minutes into this date with Kamala Harris, you're begging your friends to bail you out. She's so bad that she makes you think about your ex and miss her. Kamala made Biden look like Gandhi. That's how bad of a candidate she was.
The Democrats enjoy arranged marriages. You remember right after Kamala got the shot, the whole party fell in love with her. It was like they were just in love, joy, and she was the best thing ever. 90 days earlier, they hated her. They thought she was dumb as rocks. Then all of a sudden, when they were told what to do, they just soldiered up and did it. That's kind of an insane way to live.
But listen, that's their party. That's where they're losing a lot of different people. They can't. And by the way, here's the one thing. If she's kind of staying quiet, the whole where is Waldo thing, where is Kamala, because she's going to come out and maybe go run for governor, I'm not even quite sure she would win mayor of L.A. I don't even think she could beat Caruso if she ran. I don't think she stands a chance at a lower level. This was a very embarrassing moment for her. If I was the Democrats, and they're willing to sit there and take a timeout, give Newsom credit. Newsom is at least inviting the other side and sitting and talking to him, and he's trying to go more and more independent, more and more to the center. He's noticing his own party is a little bit off. Few items they had. Democrats are fake. We noticed that, how they handle themselves. Everything's about whatever it takes at all costs. They don't know what they stand for. They bullied the American people, including the Democrats. They forced and bullied their own party, their own people that voted for them. They're divisive. They believe in arranged marriage. I think they have so many problems right now. But if Newsom keeps doing what he's doing right now, going to the center, agreeing with some of the guys on the center. Yes, we missed the mark. If he does that, Americans are not going to forget what happened with California fires. They're not going to forget what happened with a lot of different things. But I think his approach to what he's doing is the closest strategy that's working to get the other side to at least listen to them. If he doesn't take that approach and say, we messed up on our side, I think they're done.
That splits the party. It's a good strategy for him, but you saw Walz. Walz says, don't talk to these animals. They're freaks. Push them back under a rock. How's the party going to get along with Gavin if he's seen as this like huge heretic?
Well, that's exactly what Trump did to the Republican Party, if you think about it. When Trump came in and everybody's watching Trump and everybody's lined up the 18 people one by one, he kept going higher and higher and higher. And Jeb Bush says, we need somebody that's strong and we need somebody that's this. He says, yeah, you're strong. So tell me, why is it that you're at the end of it right now, 3%, and I'm at, whatever percent I am, and you had $140 million to start and it had nothing. What happened? So he pushed people out. Newsom has to be comfortable to be hated by 80% of the establishment Democrats. If he's not comfortable by being hated by the 80% establishment Democrats, he doesn't stand a chance.
That's a very, very smart point. But you made a huge mistake. So
guys, again, right now, it's the Democrats are in disarray. Most people aren't even worried about the Democrats and what they're doing. But what I want to show you, Oh my goodness. What I want to show you right here on the screen, guys, is so important because this is the reality of what is happening in the federal judicial system. And just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching, guys. If you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, we really appreciate your support. Right now, what you're seeing on the screen is the total injunctions list by president. So you can see that with Bush, there was 6 injunctions. 3 were issued by judges appointed by the president of opposing party. So Bush had 6, then there was 3 that came from the other party. Obama had 12, 7 from the other party. Trump, 64. Look at this jump. This is not by accident. There is a deep state that is involved that hates what is happening right here, guys. And this is what people have to see that is the truth. Trump 64, 59. 59 from the other party. Biden 14. So you see who the disruptor is. You see who the person the deep state hates the most is when it comes to these judges, these appointed judges who are trying to disrupt the executive orders of the sitting president. Thank you so much, Running Wild, for the super chat. Let's go. Said, God bless the USA in this channel. I love it. Y'all show Running Wild some love in the chat. So right here, guys, this is the receipts. This is the actual facts of what is happening that we are seeing so much infighting from these judicial judges, and why it's because Trump is disrupting the deep state. Listen to this.
What do you make of all of these antics from the Democrats?
What I make of it is that they don't know what they're doing, that they really don't have a message. They don't have a vision to give the American people. What are the actual policies they're talking about? They don't have those. And so they resort to this. Influencers of the State of the Union, Chuck Schumer looking like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. None of this stuff is really working. And that's because we're delivering for the American people. And Donald Trump is delivering on the promises that he made on the campaign trail.
I mean, I was thinking about, the SpaceX splashing down in the Gulf of America and seeing this kind of out of the world innovation. And I thought, well, this is something that would bring the country together, right? Shouldn't everyone celebrate the idea that we've got this kind of amazing innovation to go and get these 2 home, that they've been there for 9 months? Not so. I mean, you just don't see the Democrats marveling at the same things that the Republicans do. Are they not in touch with the people?
Well, Maria, I think the American people are actually celebrating a lot of these things. What SpaceX was allowed to do, getting those astronauts home, finally, something that the Biden and Harris administration failed to do. That's a wonderful thing. But the reason why the Democrats and their interests in media and other parts of the country are upset is because the basis of their entire ideology and their entire purpose in their party, which is the federal government and the largesse of the federal government, the bureaucracy of the federal government, the fact that that is now being touched and examined is a very threat to the thing they've been campaigning on for almost 2 generations in the United States. That's why they're upset.
Yeah.
They're not upset about the fact that our astronauts are home. They're upset that their baby, if you will, which is the federal government, is being examined for the first time. And that's to the benefit of the American people today and in the future of our country.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so, and yet they're attacking Musk as well as President Trump. Lawmakers, meanwhile, expected to work on implementing the Trump agenda through budget reconciliation once you all return from your recess next week. I want to get your take on where we are. Punchbowl is reporting that Republicans on the Senate Budget Committee will meet with the parliamentarian's office to get guidance on the current policy baseline, or a scoring method that they can use to make the Trump tax cuts permanent. I spoke with North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer yesterday on this program, and he pushed back on House Republicans who say their budget plan is the only option. Watch.
The idea that somehow because they have a narrower majority in the House, the Senate has to do what the House wants to do. What their bill fails to do is really big. Their bill fails to make the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act permanent law. If their bill was to pass, but we weren't able to make those tax cuts permanent, we'd be in the same position a few years from now. So I don't quite understand this pride of ownership, if you will, that the House has. We'll work out the differences, but it may end up being 3 or 2 different bills rather than one big bill. So I think both sides have to be respectful of the challenges that the other side has. But I also think a great big bill runs the greatest risk of failing.
Congressman, what about that? Is it easier to just do it in 2 bills so that you know that you can make those tax cuts permanent?
To be blunt, Maria, I really don't even care whether it's 1 bill or 2 bills. I mean, at this point, what we have to do is get the constructs of the entire agenda done. And tax policy, I do agree with a lot of the senators, and there's a lot of House members that do agree that we should be using the current policy baseline. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act is current law in the United States. I mean, it's current policy. That's what we're working under. So we should use that to score it. But the broader context of this deal to get the president's agenda done is going to be mandatory spending cuts and mandatory spending reforms. And as long as we have the leadership in both chambers and we have members in both chambers who take that matter seriously and do everything we can to bend the long-term cost curve in the United States, the deal will happen, whether it's 1 bill, 2 bill, 4 bills. That part's mostly irrelevant. It's about the spending side so that you can bend the long-term cost curve of the United States, take the pressure off of the Treasury bond market, which is having pressure because of the rate of borrowing that we have in the United States. And so as long as we get that piece done, tax policy will all get done. We won't have a problem.
All right. Well, we'll be watching all of that. Meanwhile, Congressman, your fellow Florida Representative Vern.
Guys, let me tell you this: what we're seeing on the Democratic side, because this is what I love, is that it's getting so bad that Democrats on the left, that are more towards the center, are literally coming out to say, yeah, these Democrats, I can't even be a part of them anymore. I can't even be a part of the Democratic Party anymore because they're just so bad. Listen to this. So this was breaking news this morning. 90, guys, we're talking about 90, almost 100 federal agencies and components were involved in 57 distinct Biden-era censorship initiatives through direct actions, policies, rulemakings, partnerships, and grants, according to a report by the Media Research Center. So when they talk about overreach, controlling the narrative, making sure that people only see what the federal government wants you to see, this is it. We are seeing it in real time. These reports coming out is that we were only seeing and we were being censored. And not only that, that everything that we believe, guys, is that we thought was true is coming to be pretty much true. All those conspiracy theorists, guess what? It's actually becoming reality. That, wow, there's a lot of them that were actually true. And then this just broke a couple minutes ago that I wanted to show you. 11:26 a.m. It's about 8 minutes ago. Close to 40,000 illegal aliens from China are now living in the United States, despite having been deported by a federal immigration judge, per The Guardian. So what we're seeing again too, there's still this law breaking. They're not following Trump's executive orders. The left is fighting extremely hard, but what I love is you got somebody who literally was a Democrat who is now coming out and saying, look, I hope as many people see what I'm about to show you, because this just shows you a lot of things are changing for centered Democrats. And if that can happen, we're definitely going to win the midterms. Check this out.
But with DOGE, that I am completely aligned with what Elon's doing, and everyone's...
Oh, and if you didn't know, this is Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary. So he's all in on it, guys. Remember, this was a federal judge literally told this guy, who is the Treasury Secretary, that he wasn't allowed to look at the data or computers in the Treasury Secretary. That's how crazy it is. And just want to say, guys, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, hope you're enjoying the show.
But do you have to do it so fast? You have to do it. Like I said, I've only been in this business for 7 weeks. I've only been in D.C. for 8 weeks. But the thing I can tell you is, if you don't move fast, the vested interest will weigh you down.
Totally.
Like the quicksand will come up, or
the claws get
the claw. Yeah, everybody's got lobbyists. Everybody's got. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Within a 10-mile radius of here, 25% of the GDP of the U.S. pulsates through here.
Pulsates
every day.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to just skim a little. I said to Elon, we were in a meeting, and I said, people are mad at you because you're moving their cheese. And he goes, it's not their cheese, it's the American people's cheese.
100%. Every dollar spent goes into someone's pocket, and that person's going to fight tooth and nail to get that dollar to keep flowing into their pocket. And it's a very, like, there is no winning in Elon's role. There's every single time he takes action, there are people that are going to come after him, that are going to come after the administration. There's no and obviously gets recast, reclassified in the media as being something different, but there's nothing but downside as you make these changes to individual organizations that participate. And then it takes a while for the flow of that money to find its way, or those individuals to find their way back into the productive private economy. That's where I think there's a big gap and a big challenge in the perception of the actions that are going on with the changes right now, is everyone sees the cuts, but they don't see the benefits. And that's 9 months, 12 months, 15 months down the road. And that's a really hard thing to reconcile for most.
Yeah, and I'd say there are a couple of things too. Is one, like, everyone's hearing cuts and they think their government services are going to get cut.
That's right.
And they're not. I keep saying it's the Department of Government Efficiency, not government extinction, not government elimination. And can we make it run much better with fewer people, with fewer costs? And I don't want to demonize any of these federal employees, because I tell you, in this building, I've been so impressed with the quality of the people. I would have hired them in my private firm. They are great public servants. I need you to stay for the weekend. I need a 25-page memo in 72 hours. Super high quality. I actually think when all this is done, there will have been two big savings. One will have been on these contractors.
Sure.
Which
we were just talking about this.
We were with Elon just now.
We were just with Elon in the West Wing.
An incredible stat. He said, I'm not going to name the firm so that I don't want to, but he said this one organization gets 98% of their revenue.
I was in the newspaper, so we can say it. It's Booz Allen.
Exactly.
Wow. We were talking about this, but then we were going through the numbers on the other firms, and it's just the whole thing.
It's
is
shocking.
incredible.
What kind of risk management is that, by the way?
Yeah. Right.
But it tells you that they didn't manage the risk.
That's right.
Tells you how entrenched they believe they were,
and how good it is for them.
And how good it is.
You're absolutely right.
And the way the grift works, you can only have 6-month contracts, but there are people who have had 46-month contracts.
Incredible.
Like, they've been in situ for 20 years.
Incredible.
And it's this whole.
I'm so happy there is transparency and visibility into this. If for nothing else, the administration providing this level of insight and data, I think, is so important for taxpayers and individuals in this country to see, to recognize, and importantly, to understand just how much of this grift is going on.
You hear this, guys? It's a grift. And I want to bring some context, because there's reason why I bring some of these videos in to show you. The guy with the glasses, Scott Bessent, he's worth about $500 million. The guy right next to him, his name is David Friedberg. He's worth about $3 billion. The guy next to him, Shameth Palihapitiya, he's worth about $6 to $7 billion. These guys are not stupid. They're talking and they're 100% on, let's get out the grift. Let's expose the deep state. These are anti-establishment people. These are people that are pushing the MAGA movement. And what I love is that they have so much money, they don't need money from the government. They're not dependent upon lobbyists. They can't be bought. That's the most important part, and that's why Donald Trump has a lot of rich people around him, is because they can't be bought just like him. And that's what's super important about his administration. You get somebody who's only making $70,000, $80,000 a year. You got a lobbyist who pops in and says, hey, we'll hook you up with the contract, $1.2 million, and whenever you get out of your position, but I need you to go ahead and do this. That happens every single time in Hollywood. I mean, not Hollywood, in Washington, D.C., with a lot of these people. And that's why they're crooked. That's why they become corrupt. That's why they can't be trusted. And then we got where Donald Trump comes out today, this morning, and says, why do we always know how the 4 liberals are going to rule, but have to think about which side the Republican judges will go? This is where he talks about the loyalists. Trump in his first term got screwed over by a lot of people that he appointed that were rhinos. And now he's just trying to make sure, how do we get America first, patriotic, always MAGA, make America great again type of people in every single judicial system, whether it be the Supreme Court, whether it be federal district judges, whether it be senators or congressmen or congresswomen, to just put America first. Like, that's as crazy as it is to say in 2025, that's what we're dealing with. That is our big fight. Because what I'm about to show you next, guys, it's heartbreaking to see that so much politics affect everybody. And now we're hearing the truth, and now they're being exposed. Check this out.
But I just want to clarify on the issue of whether or not you had offered to send this rocket to space to rescue these astronauts sooner to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I heard somebody earlier today say, in fact, that didn't happen, when I believe it did.
No, we definitely offered to return the astronauts earlier. There's no question about that. The astronauts were only supposed to be there for 8 days, and they've been there for almost 10 months.
Oh!
So obviously that doesn't make any sense. SpaceX could have brought the astronauts back after a few months at most, and we made that offer to the Biden administration. It was rejected for political reasons, and that's just a fact.
To robotics, AI, you are working with Neuralink so the blind can see and people with spinal cord injuries may one day walk. You help people in North Carolina. You help people in California when they have no communications. And I watch all of this, and I have to ask, why? Why do I see people, like I woke up this morning and saw that Teslas were put ablaze in one of your dealerships in Vegas. I've seen this happen all over the country. Bullets are being fired, charging stations are put ablaze, Teslas are being put ablaze. You have experienced assassination, threats of assassination for you and your family. What have you done that warrants this? Because I see nothing that you have done except help our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or the Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just, smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think there are larger forces at work as well. I mean, I don't know who's funding it and who's coordinating it, because this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
You actually tweeted out, and I'll put it on the screen, the level of violence is insane. It is deeply wrong. Tesla just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve these evil attacks. You just rescued 2 astronauts that have been in space for 286 days. They were only supposed to be there 8. You help the people in North Carolina, Tennessee, California. You have, I think, the most creative and innovative car on the market. You created Starlink for communications that's used by hundreds of countries. You're working on helping the blind see and all of these other things. Is it really come down to the basic, you're aligned with President Donald Trump, who also is a friend of mine, and that you have identified well over $100 billion in waste, fraud, abuse that our federal government never should have been spending? Is that what it comes down to?
Yeah, it turns out when you take away people's, the money they're receiving fraudulently, they get very upset, and they basically want to kill me because I'm stopping their fraud, and they want to hurt Tesla because we're stopping this terrible waste and corruption in the government. And well, I guess they're bad people. Bad people will do bad things.
Well, guys, what really bothers me is that this is the richest guy in the world right now. He's worth, 300 plus, $3.5 $350 billion. And he's literally doesn't have to do this. He can literally just sit in a yacht like Jeff Bezos and just go live out his life on a big old yacht and not care what anything happens for the rest of the world and for humanity. But he doesn't. And he's trying to make things better, and he's exposing so much. And even he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he literally said, there's so much stuff that I found, I can't even say it right now, because if I said it, I know they would come to try to kill me even more. He said that's how bad it is. That's how much corruption there is within Washington, D.C., the federal government. And what's sad is that you see a guy who's a true patriot. He's an African immigrant. That's literally what he is. He came from South Africa. He's an African American. And everybody loved him until he aligned himself with Donald Trump. Remember, he voted for Biden in 2020. He voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And now that he has seen the corruption, and he's essentially been red-pilled for sure, he is literally being attacked by everybody. And it's so sad because it's like, why? There's so much evil out there, guys. And that's why we do our charities. That's why we give back. Is because there's a lot of evil out there, and we got to put some good into this world. But what blows my mind is for a guy who doesn't have to do this, he's doing it, and that's where we appreciate him very much.
I know that overall, financially, in the end, yes, they can hurt you, but the people that they'll end up hurting are the people that work in your dealerships that may risk losing their job. The people that they may end up hurting are the people that work on the line and build the Teslas. They're going to be the ones hurt. And that to me is despicable on their part, just because they might have a political difference or perceived political difference. Let me ask you this, because I think this is pretty important. The average American makes $66,000 a year. We're close to $40,000 in debt. You said to me in our last interview, we won't have a country unless we fix it now. Can you explain why this is so important that we identify all this waste?
Yes, the government the government waste and fraud is so high that it's causing a $2 trillion annual deficit. So that's $2,000 billion of waste, waste and fraud that's happening, and the cost of our debt has gotten so high that just the interest payments on the debt exceed the entire military budget. And it was just growing out of control. So the country was going bankrupt. It's just, country is no different from a person. If a country overspends and doesn't spend wisely, just like a person, a country will go bankrupt. So the reason I'm here is because I'm very worried about America going bankrupt due to the corruption and waste. And if we don't do something about it, the ship of America is going to sink. And we're all on that ship. And this may be a message to, people out there who have, are wealthy, have a lot of means, or control companies. It's like, just remember, we're all in ship America here. Your company is not going to exist if the ship of America sinks. And we should do everything we possibly can to ensure that America is strong for far into the future.
And for doing that, we're all sunk. And for doing that, you should not have your company be a victim of domestic terrorism. If I may, one last question. When I interviewed you and President Trump together, one of the questions I asked both of you was, are you aware that there are groups that want to separate you, groups that would like to divide you, groups that would like to see you not work together? I feel it's stronger than it's ever been. Do you get the same sense?
I think they're getting desperate because, the reason we're seeing this extreme amount of hatred and violence is because we're actually succeeding in getting rid of corruption and waste. If we weren't succeeding in getting rid of corruption and waste, they wouldn't care. But we are succeeding. Without President Trump, this would be impossible. So I'd just like to say, it's only possible with this president. And we've got this narrow window of opportunity with a House, Senate, and a popular vote, and really we're just implementing the will of the people. And we've got this window where we can finally take corrective action We can fix the government, fix the country, and create a great future. And again, that's only possible because of President Trump. I can't say enough good things about him.
I'm kind of supportive too. I'm pretty well known for my support of him.
Yeah.
As you might know, but well, for good reason, and for all the reasons you're saying. I want to save our country. We can't rob from our kids and grandkids, and we can't put all that debt on them. And you're right. None of us will have any business opportunities because there won't be any money, there won't be any freedom, there won't be an economy. Thank you for what you did today. I know I speak for a lot of people when I say that. And on the other side of it, you know, your company being a victim of domestic terrorism, you know, I can't say that I'm sorry enough. We need to get these people that are responsible for this, and you should not have to live through that. Your workers should not have to live through that. Your company and this country should not have to live through that. And I hope we get to the bottom of it.
Guys, that's because, again, that's literally where we're at. We have an American company that's always been American from the very beginning that's being terrorized because of the fact that this guy's political views are aligned with Trump. Only reason. No other reason, guys. If that makes you upset, if that frustrates you guys, then hit that thumbs up like button. Show your support for Elon Musk, our boy, on helping to make America great again. Because what I really appreciate too, guys, because I'm telling you, they still got this guy on the air, and I love it. But everything that he says is 100% fact, and he's literally laying them out on CNN. Check this out.
The other night, Donald Trump said these are domestic terrorists. Everybody laughed about it and scoffed at it. That video looks like terrorism to me. I mean, it's obviously an organized, coordinated effort, however people are communicating with each other, to do this to people around the country who chose to buy a Tesla at some point in the past, many of whom I'm sure are Democrats who bought them in the first place, all because their entire political worldview is ruled by their emotions. And that's the American left right now. It is one angry mob after another willing to take things into their own hands, up to and including keying, firebombing, and otherwise vandalizing cars and car dealerships and charging stations. It's outrageous. It is terrorism. People ought to be put in jail and left there for a very long time and be taught a lesson.
Yeah, 100%. Because if you don't set the example, like, guys, who literally goes and sets these cars on fire? You gotta have some really messed up political views to take it to that level where it could seriously hurt a lot of people. This is messed up, and I'm glad that we have on multiple networks people willing to stand up to speak about it. And again, too, it is spreading across America. Listen to this.
Illegal border crossings into our country have plummeted to historic lows under President Trump's watch. Last February, Joe Biden caught and released 77,000 illegals at the border. This February, under Trump, the number's 1.
Let's go.
Biden didn't just roll out the red carpet for these people. He also let crooked NGOs stuff their pockets with your money. One Texas nonprofit took $3 billion to help house migrant kids and then gave all their executives huge raises, while staffers allegedly sexually abused them or even handed the kids over to traffickers.
Wow.
Trump's taking a different approach. He's offering Biden's illegals an olive branch in the form of an ultimatum. Leave now on your own or risk the consequences.
My administration is...
Sorry, guys, got to get past this for the music.
Voluntarily or leave like this narco. A convicted fentanyl dealer who was seen crying like a baby as she was iced. You would think deporting drug dealers and gangbangers would be a unifying issue, but you'd be wrong. Obama judge James Boasberg tried putting the kibosh on Trump's deportation flights over the weekend, and it turns out his family might be compromised. Boasberg's daughter works for migrants. She gives them legal advice and protects them from getting deported.
Wow.
Oh, and happened to call the Lake and Riley Act a terrible law. Oh, and his wife founded an abortion clinic and hosted Doug Emhoff to speak at her event. Is that a conflict of interest? Someone should look into that. In the meantime, Trump says the judge should leave defending the homeland to the president.
Many people have called for his impeachment, the impeachment of this judge. I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country. Well, that's a presidential job. That's not for a local judge to be making that determination.
And the media is taking the side of the gangbangers, too, comparing their Irish grandparents to Tren de Agua members.
On this St. Patrick's Day, as millions of Americans celebrate their Irish heritage, recent events remind us that the Irish were among the first immigrants to be targeted in deportation crackdowns.
In the mid-1800s, New York and Massachusetts enforced policies to have Irish immigrants rounded up and deported.
The American Civil Liberties Union didn't exist then, but if it had, it may have taken the legal position it is taking now, suing the Trump administration to stop what it considers to be the illegal deportation over the weekend of...
Guys, do you hear this? These are MS-13. These are like some of literally the worst of the worst gang members. And the media is touting and saying that the MS-13 deportation of these gang members reminds them of their Irish grandma trying to be deported. There is something seriously messed up with their minds. There's no way, there's no common sense, there's nowhere in this world where this makes sense to the average person. If you tell them, is it okay to deport Irish people that are here, that have immigrated here? What do? Well, they're just hardworking and they're Irish. No. Is it should we deport illegal aliens that are gang members, a part of an MS-13 gang? Should we deport them? Yes. Get them out of here. Don't let them even have a chance to commit a crime. But the media is so messed up. Guys, you got to think, who the heck are these executive producers or these people who are running these companies? Because this is just literally, you can't even fathom. This sounds fictional.
More than 200 migrants to El Salvador.
The big difference now, the administration says many of those flown to Central America are considered by the government to be terrorists.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is here. Do the people of Florida, Governor, do they seem upset about gangbangers getting flown out of the country?
Not at all, Jesse. In fact, we have a very strong Venezuelan American population down in South Florida, and they've been for many years during Biden's whole open borders. They were the ones warning about the people that Venezuela was sending. Those are people that were in the prisons. These were very problematic individuals. Heck, when we did the first flight to Martha's Vineyard, most of those were Venezuelans. People thought the Venezuelan Americans in Florida were going to be upset. They were very happy with that because they knew what was going on. So President Trump's doing the right thing. And, you know, when I hear these sound bites of these legacy media apparatchiks comparing these Venezuelan gang members to Irish immigrants from the 19th century, you know, I'm just thinking legacy media, maybe they should just shut down and start over, because what they're doing is just such a fraud, and the public does not believe a word they say anymore.
And Governor, remind me what the people in the vineyard did to the people that you flew there. I think they got them out of there almost like what, in 48 hours?
They declared a state of emergency. Yeah. This, mind you, Jesse, was an actual enclave, Martha's Vineyard, that claimed to be a sanctuary jurisdiction. They actually had an office that was supposedly to welcome refugees. I think it was just for virtue signaling. I don't think they actually ever used it, but they declared a state of emergency. They had the National Guard come out, and this was just 50. And they were gone off that island within 48 hours. So just think about these poor Texas border towns having tens of thousands, and the elite liberals told them that they just had to grin and bear it. The minute they had 50 show up in their precious enclave, they flipped out.
Yeah, I think they took them to a military base or something like that, and God knows what happened to them after that. No one ever kept track. What about the Gulf of America? I mean, a month or two after they rename this thing, they get some surprise guests.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, this is kind of a microcosm for the change we've seen in our country from Biden to President Trump. You know, they do this space mission they have problems, and they had no way to go and rescue these astronauts. And they're just up there. Now we have a new president, President Trump, of course, working with Elon Musk, and they go up and they bring these guys back. So yeah, it landed not far from where we are in Tallahassee, in that part of the Gulf. And so I think it was a important thing to happen, but I also think symbolically it shows that we're a country that can get things done again. Under Biden, we were just a country that was continually stubbing our toe because of his ineptitude.
All right, well, the legacy media is still calling it the Gulf of Mexico. They actually said it was off Florida's coast. So I think we'll get there eventually. We just have to be patient, Governor.
In Florida, all of our stuff, we did an executive order. We're referring to it as Gulf of America. I know the legislature will probably do some things to solidify that as well. So we're proud of it.
All right. Well, name something for me down there if you have a chance. We appreciate all your support. Thank you so much.
Guys, let me tell you this. Today, even this morning, it's been so impactful. It's like the winning is so much that like it's kind of like you become numb to the winning, which I hope we don't. Because Trump is doing so much, still less than 2 months in office and still kicking butt. Want to say thank you so much, C. McD, for the super chat. Let's go. Said John G. Robert Scotus and the Black Crow and Robe James Boasberg and the rest of the activist Black Crows must be impeached and disbarred. If they don't follow the U.S. Constitution, means they're enemies. 100%, guys. If there's anybody that should be upholding the Constitution, putting America first and protecting America, it should be those people. Y'all show C. McD some love in the chat. So Trump came out and said, just completed a very good telephone call with President Zelensky of Ukraine. It lasted approximately 1 hour. Much of the discussion was based on the call made yesterday with President Putin in order to align both Russia and Ukraine in terms of their requests and needs. We are very much on track, and I will ask Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz to give an accurate, and this is not Mike Waltz. This is not, the Kamala Harris's VP candidate. But to give an accurate description of the points discussed, the statement will be put out shortly. This is beautiful. Tree Man, welcome to the family. Let's go. Y'all show Tree Man some love in the chat. Because again, too, regardless of what the media says, I believe common sense is winning. Right now, America seeing that we are close to ending this war. We are about to put this new budget reconciliation bill with no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and then put it in the law. Once we get to a balanced budget, anybody making under $150,000 or less doesn't have to pay federal taxes. That's what they've spoken about, and that's what we need for America to be the greatest that it can be. And just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to all of our subscribers. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up like button, thank you so much for your support. Guys, on Wednesdays, just for a little bit, we're going to be doing a earlier show in the morning and then earlier show in the afternoon, just for some personal reasons, guys, for my church and things like that. But I really appreciate your support. Thank you for sharing these videos. And we are here to support you. We're here to bring you the top news every single day, guys. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.